Are you looking for professional training in forensic mental health?
For us, sexual violence is an interesting one. If I could say, let's think about our standard definition, actual, attempted, or threatened physical harm. So we could say actual, attempted, or threatened sexual harm. So does that mean physical harm that's sexual in nature? So that'd be like hurting somebody in a sexual way, hurting them physically in a sexual way. My guess is probably half the people that you've seen where you've done sex offender risk assessments, they hadn't harmed somebody in a physical way. They hadn't tried to. Those are the kinds of things that we sometimes don't think of as constituting violence. Yet we're saying if you're having that kind of contact with people, it's like the equivalent of threatening or intimidating behavior that's sexual in nature. But in some cases, a victim may not even know that they're a victim of sexual violence. If, for example, somebody's been peeping in the window, right? The key thing is the person who's engaging in the behavior is trying to have this contact with somebody else of a sexual nature, again, without their knowledge or consent, or with somebody who's not able to give consent. We know we do need to look at intent. I mean, sometimes the only difference between violence and sexual violence is when we say that there's a sexual motivation. We may find, we had a fellow in that grew near our university, and he was hanging around in apartment buildings. And when women were getting on the apartment building, or into the apartment buildings, and they were going to go up in the elevator, he'd pretend he was going through mailboxes, right? Getting his mail out. But then when a woman was alone, he would go on the elevator with her and then stop the elevator between floors and push her over and take the shoes off her feet. Now, this could just be a robbery or an assault. Now, if you've got really expensive shoes, maybe somebody's going to go to extremes to get your Jimmy Choos or whatever. It's possible. But in this particular case, what you had was a guy, and he wasn't actually interested in the shoes at all. He was interested in the feet. He had a partialism. He had a sexual deviation where he was aroused by feet, only by feet. He didn't care about the rest of the woman at all. It was just the feet. And he wanted those live feet, and he had to force women over because he couldn't get enough of feet. So if you understand that, then you understand this is a sex offense. It's not an assault, it's not a robbery, it's a sex offense.
To learn more about Concept's professional training opportunities, visit us at concept-ce.com.